Good morning and welcome to a cold, wet winter here in the UK. So today we're going to think about habits. Not good habits, but the bad habits you can get into. And I must admit, I think I've got into one of these bad habits in the last, probably few months, over the last year. And we'll look at that towards the end of the video. But for now, let's see what sort of bad habits we can fall into and whether you fall into any of them. So if you do fall into any of these habits, don't forget to drop it in the comments below and let us know what you've done about maybe stopping those habits or creating good ones. We know how hard it is sometimes to create good habits, and it can take months and months to create good habits, but falling into bad habits can take just a matter of days or weeks. You know, you only have to sort of stop doing one ride a week, and before you know it, you haven't done it for weeks. You don't go to the gym for a couple of weeks and that's it. Especially at this time of year. So let's see what habits we might fall into and if there's ways to avoid them. So let's get going and see what habits we might develop. So one of the habits we might develop is just not recovering enough and always, doing a lot of riding week after week and never really building in any recovery weeks. Especially at this time of the year, if we're trying to get fit and want to have a good start, it's very easy to overdo it. So make sure you do build in those recovery weeks. One of the things we might do is not ride fueled enough and think, especially in the winter when it's cold, we don't need to drink too much or we don't need to eat too much, we're going slowly. But it's easy to ride under-fueled and then not perform well. So it's really important to make sure that you do eat on the bike and drink, especially over winter, and avoid bonking. The last thing you need to do is bonking. It doesn't do your body any good. It just, ruins your ride and then probably spoils you for another day or two afterwards too. So make sure you ride fueled. So if you're enjoying this video and the content on the channel, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe if you can. It'll really help the channel grow. And to all the people who have subscribed, thank you so much. Now another one is riding too much with other people sometimes. And I make this mistake, not my main one, but it's one of the ones I tend to do, is you want to do a easy ride, you want to just do some aerobic base miles, and you go out riding with other people, and before you know it, you're hammering along some country road or sprinting up a hill going full gas. And it's so easy when you ride with other people to get dragged into doing efforts you didn't particularly want to do, and when you come home, rather than having done a couple of hours fairly easy, you're absolutely cooked. So it's really important sometimes just to go out on your own and do what you want to do. It's also easy at this time of year to follow a training plan too religiously. You follow it word for word, and sometimes you don't take into account the fact that you need to have a break, or it'd be better to call it quits on that ride that day and take it a bit easier and miss a day out. So try to be flexible. Don't need to be too rigid, especially as you get older. The last thing you need to do is stick rigidly to a plan and end up being completely exhausted because of it. Another thing that's easy to do is always ride too hard. You don't have to smash it up every hill. It's easy to fall into the trap of always overdoing it. There's a time and a place to go hard. And the last bad habit, and the one I've fallen into recently, is not to enjoy riding. I think it's so easy with all the data we have and Strava and all those things to end up focusing so much on performance and how well we're doing and whether we're riding fast enough or we're doing enough power or all those sorts of things. It's so easy to spoil your riding, and I have definitely found over the last 6 months, a year, that always trying to keep my performance up and keep my figures up and numbers up and speed up on rides and things like that has spoiled my enjoyment of riding. So one thing I'm going to be doing this year is trying to just go out and enjoy rides and have no particular agenda. Maybe just do some longer rides where you can do some coffee stops and things like that, and try not to worry so much about power and fitness and whether I'm as good as I was last year or the year before. Well then, so if you've got any bad habits you've fallen into, don't forget to drop them in the comments below, or say how you've got out of a bad habit and what you do to avoid them. And until next time, bye for now.